Hello friends. Let us discuss the remaining part of the Unit 5 General Insurance. In this lecture series, I would like to start the discussion on marine insurance. As you know, the marine business is a very uh, uh, difficult kind of a business because the goods have to travel across the ocean, and the traveling distance is also lengthy, and the traveling time is also lengthy, and there are a lot of uncontrollable perils which will happen in the sea transportation. It may be a storm, tempest, or a lightning to the in the sea, or fire in the sea. Any kinds of losses, any kinds of perils may happen. So therefore, the loss happened to the cargo or to the hull or to the uh, hull means ship. The hull means ship. The ship or the cargo. Cargo means the goods which are loaded in the ship, or the crew or the workers working in the ship, because the ship contains a lot of workers inside. They are called as a crew, and there is a captain for the crew who is giving the destination for the ship to move. So there are a lot of people involved in the crew, and any type of a collision to the hull or to the ship will damage the cargo, as well as it becomes a threat, life threatening kind of injuries or deaths to the crew also. So there are number of perils which will create the loss, and there are number of losses also which will emerge in the ship transportation. Therefore, marine insurance is a very important important insurance. It gives a more comfortable uh, to the owners of the ship, or the people transferring the goods to the ship, because the loss happened will be covering, and it is giving a life and blood survival for the marine business holders. In this video lecture, in this marine insurance, we are supposed to discuss with the six important aspects. One is marine insurance, second one is types of marine insurance principles, important clauses in marine insurance, and marine insurance policies, and marine risk clauses in marine policy. But in this video, I would like to discuss only the first three important points. That is marine insurance, what it is, and types of marine insurances, and marine insurance principles. So now, as you are already aware, the insurance contract, what it is a contract between the insurer and the insured, where the insurer is promising to indemnify to the at the time of the loss happened to the insured against a particular reward or the consideration called a premium. Premium will be paid by the insurance policyholder to the insurance company, where the insurance company against the premium will take the responsibility of compensating the loss happened to the insurer policyholder, uh, uh, because of certain predetermined risks or perils or hazards. Okay. This is what the common definition of the insurance. So the same definition is available here for this marine also, where uh, marine insurance covers the losses or damages caused to ships, terminals, and any transport or cargo by which goods are transferred, acquired, or held between different points of origin and final destination. The term may also apply to inland marine, but is usually used in the context of ocean marine insurance. Marine insurance is a haven for transporters and shipping corporations because it helps to lower the aspect of the financial loss due to the cargo loss. So here, if you consider this marine insurance, this marine insurance not only talks about what the marine insurance is, but also the scope involved in the operations of the marine insurance policy, marine insurance business. Marine insurance business covers the losses, damages caused to ship. Ship means hull. Terminals. Terminals in the sense in two different destinations. There are certain ports, what you call as terminals. A terminal is a station of the ship. If the ship is stationed at a particular place, and due to any of unforeseen circumstances, the risk emerges, and loss occurs to the ship or to the crew inside the ship. Even at the terminal point also insurance covers them. It is not necessarily that the ship should be sailing on the sea, then only the insurance are covered. It's not like that. Even in the terminals also there are certain perils, or there are certain hazards which may happen and create the loss to the owners of the ship or owners of the cargo. And any transport of the cargo, while transporting also any peril happens. If the ship sinks in the water due to storm, tempest, which are common in the ocean transportation, held between two different points of the original final destination. The term may also apply to India inland marine insurance. Inland in the sense when the ships are moving through the rivers. When the ships are moving through the rivers also, it is called a marine business only. But the normally marine means a ocean. Therefore, a lot of ocean related businesses are defined under the marine insurance policy. But marine insurance includes even the river transportation also. Any kinds of a river transportation where the ships are used in the transportation, marine insurance will cover that particular risk. And there is a separate organization called Marine Insurance Organizations, which are covered under the Marine Insurance Contract Act. Marine Insurance Contract Act. They will be covering, settling the insurance related aspects. So it is, this insurance is become a heaven for the uh, shipping corporations or to the people transporting the goods through the ship, basically, because when the goods are insured, cargo is insured, or if the ship is insured, they are free from the financial losses. Any loss happens, insurance company will take the responsibility of that particular thing. And moreover, it is very difficult to manage the uh, problems happening in the sea, especially like air transportation. Ship transportation is also similar to certain kinds of risk compared to road transportation. Ship transportation and air transportations are more dangerous because there is no human effort to control any kinds of damages happening, because the tempest, storm, or cloudiness, they are not in the control of a human being. But on the road transportation, it is possible to change the routes or stop when there is a huge amount of rain happening. But here in the ship transportation and the air transportation, it is very difficult. Therefore, these people uh, doing the business through oceans and by aeroplanes and all that, they find these kind of insurances are like a heaven. And there are various types of marine insurances. They are basically classified into four. There is, but students should not confuse between the marine insurance types and marine insurance policies. Marine insurance talks about the different classification of the insurance possibilities, whereas the marine policy talks about the various types of policies in each type of insurance, various kinds of policies in each type of insurance. For example, in case of cargo insurance, in cargo insurance there are number of different types of insurance policies. In hull insurance itself there are many types of policies. So types is the common classification of the marine insurance contracts. There are four basically marine insurance contracts which are classified. One is cargo insurance. Cargo insurance caters specifically to the cargo of the ship. It means that cargo means the goods which are shipped in the ship, shipped in the ship. That goods which are packed and kept in the ship are subject to get the insurance policy, because if the ship collides or anything happens, the cargo inside the ship will also get damaged. This cargo insurance is normally taken, policy is taken by the um, what you call as people who are who are the owners of the cargo. Normally, cargo owners will take the insurance, not the ship owners, because ship owners are only responsible for the ship, whereas cargo is loaded and unloaded by the sellers, exporters and importers in ocean business are responsible. The buyers and sellers of the cargo are responsible. Now, who will pay the insurance premium in case of a cargo insurance? The question arises. Normally, the insurance premium will be paid by the cargo owners, not by the ship owners, many a time. The cargo owners will insure the cargo which they have shipped in the ship, in the ship. So here, what they do is, it depends who has to pay the insurance premium for the cargo. Sometimes the seller will pay the premium, sometimes the buyer will pay the premium. Seller will pay the premium only when the price includes the insurance cost also while quoting the price to the buyer. If the seller quotes the full price, that is what we call as this full price is called as the full coverage price, called as franco price. This is called as franco price. Franco price in the sense it is this price quoted by the seller. It is the price quoted by the seller to the uh, buyer, inclusive of all the expenditures, that is internal transportation from the seller's point to the cargo, then to the ship, and uploading the ship, and sending the goods. In this case, the insurance policy will be taken by the seller in case of franco price. But on the other side, if at all it is a loco price where all the expenditures of a transportation is incurred by the buyer while buying the goods, then the cargo insurance will be taken by the buyer. This is what the cargo insurance talks about. Then we have one more type of marine insurance policy called hull insurance. Hull insurance mainly caters to the uh, hull, that is a ship or the vessel. It is also called as a vessel, along with all the articles and pieces of furniture in the ship. This type of a marine insurance is mainly taken out by the owners of the ship in order to avoid any loss to the ship in case of any mishaps occurring. So the hull insurance is covering all the losses to the ship. For example, the ship contains a machinery inside. So hull insurance will cover the machinery loss also if at all any loss happens, and also includes the furnitures fittings inside the ship. So this type of insurance is normally taken by the owners of the ship. Then owners of the and all that will be need to be paid. In this case, liability is there on the ship and is taken by the liability policy. Insurance, marine insurance will also cover that liability to be payable to the bankers in case the hull crash happens. The loan will be paid. And similarly with the cargo also, if there is any collision happened, the cargo which are shipped loaded in the ship, they are subject to certain bank loans and all that. Those liabilities can be covered by the insurance policy taken by the cargo owners. This is what we call as liability insurance. We have one more type of insurance called as freight insurance. Freight means it is the uh, charges of a transportation. Freight is the transportation charge. It is like a bus ticket, how we take the bus ticket transportation expenditure. So this is in case of shipping transportation, that expenditure, transportation expenditure, is called a freight. Freight will be paid by the seller or by the buyer, as the case may be, to the shipping corporation. In case if the ship gets collide, the not only the ship will be getting damaged. For that there is a ship insurance, but a separate insurance can also be taken on the freight by the owners of the ship. If the freight insurance is taken, and if there is any collision happens, whatever the total sum of the freight that they are supposed to receive from the cargo owners, that is compensated by the insurance company under this freight insurance contract. So along with the hull insurance, they can add freight insurance and liability insurance. Along with this, the owners of the ship can take this kind of things. So these are the various types of in marine insurance contracts. uh, then the next important point that we need to discuss is the principles of marine insurance. What are the basic principles of marine insurance? As we have already seen the characteristics of features of any insurance contract, there must be an offer and acceptance, and there must be utmost good faith, all these things. Apart from that, in the marine insurance, there are five important points which are more exclusively different as compared to the other types of insurances. That is the fire insurance and health insurance, like. What are the basic differences? Those things are covered under this principle. These principles are studied here. One is called as the principle of insurable interest. Second one is principle of indemnity, principle of subrogation, principle of proximate cause, and principle of contribution. Let us discuss each one of them in detail, how it is pertaining to differently pertaining to insurance, this marine insurance. Insurable interest means that the insured should have an interest in the subject when it is to be insured. That we have already seen in most of the general insurance contract. Owner of the goods or the asset is having a direct insurable interest. He should be bona fide by the safe arrivals of the commodities, and he should be prejudiced by loss or damage of the goods. Insurable interest can be proved only when the transportation goods arriving, if there is a prejudice, if the damages happen to the goods, he is under loss. If does not happen anything, then he is not having any loss. That kind of attachment, if it is there, it is called as insurable interest. In case of life insurance, and in case of health insurance, and even in case of fire insurance, there is a one condition that the insurable interest should be present at the time of entering into contract and at the time of what you call as claiming the damage when the loss happened. In both the cases, insurable interest is expected by the insurance company. If the insurable interest is not there at the time of the entering into a contract, then the compensation may not be paid. But in this case of marine insurance, insurable interest is not necessarily that it should be present at the time of entering into a contract. Even if he is not the owner of the goods, he can take the insurance policy on those goods, though he is not the owner. But when the loss happened, at the time of the loss, the person who has taken the insurance policy should have an interest on the goods. He should have a ownership of the goods. For example, if the buyer is paying the insurance expenditure, though he is not the owner till the goods are received and papers are transferred in his name, buyer can take the insurance policy on the seller's goods which are in the custody of the seller. But when the seller is shipping the goods, and if the damage happens to the ship, buyer is authorized to claim for the damages, because at the time of the loss happened, the risk is transferred in the name of the buyer. Though he is not the owner, but at the time of the loss, he pretends to be owner because there are papers in his name and he has paid the freight charges. He can easily claim for the damages. So this is how insurable interest in case of the in case of marine insurance, it should be present at the time of the loss happened. The following parties may be said to have an insurable interest in the cargo in the marine insurance: cargo owners on their cargo to be shipped, ship owners on the ship, shipping company on their freight receivables, and insurer on the insured properties for reinsurance. If at all an insurer is reinsuring, certain times what happens, there is a reinsurance concept in the business. For example, if the ship cost is too huge, an insurance company will take the responsibility of that, and they will appoint one more. They will take the insurance policy from one more insurer. In this case, there is a insurer contract. Two people will enter into, where the insurer is having the first insurer of the ship is having a insurable interest in the ship, which is being insured with the second insurer. So that's kind of things are possible in case of ship insurance, that is in case of marine insurance, because the ship cost is very huge, very huge. Therefore, sub insurance contracts or reinsurance contracts will be emerging. Next one is captain and crew in respect of their wages and salaries. The captain and crews can also take their policy will also be taken by the owners of the ship. The next one is principle of indemnity. This principle means that the insured will be compensated only to the extent of the loss suffered. You know that indemnity. He will not be allowed to earn a profit from marine insurance. The underwriter provides to compensate the insured in cash and not to replace the cargo or the ship. See, in this case, the insured is going to provides the compensation in the form of cash. and not to replace the cargo or the ship. He cannot replace the cargo or the ship, because in the principle of indemnity, cash is the only transaction through which the loss is met. The money value of the subject matter is decided at the time of taking up the policy. Sometimes the value is calculated at the time of the happening of a loss also. There is a one exception to the principle of indemnity in insurance contract. Some profit margin is also allowed in case of the fire insurance, and in case of some general insurance contract. We have seen that the only loss happened to the asset is calculated, and that is only compensated. But in this case of ocean transaction, there is an exception to the rule. Even the policy holders, buyers, can add market value to the property and claim for the profits also. That is also possible in case of indemnity. Indemnity is not only to the extent of the loss, but also the financial loss plus market losses which are subject to happen to the cargoes and all that is also included in the policy. Next, third, we have principle of subrogation. As you have already seen, that subrogation refers to if the full compensation is paid to the value of the asset, full insured value is paid, the insurer will get the right over the assets or the property. Same is in the case of this marine insurance also. The transfer of rights and remedies of the insured to an insurer who has indemnified the insurance in respect of the loss. Subrogation follows the principle of indemnity. Insured should not make any profit out of the loss. Simple example here is a ship is, if it is insured for 10 crores against the sea storm perils, and it is wrecked down, and the total loss is claimed by the insurance owner, saying that there is no value for the ship. And if the 10 crore rupees value is paid to the ship owner by the insurance company, then insurance company will take over all the wrecked part of the ship, and any resale value of the wrecked part of the ship is collected. It is retained only by the insurance company. It is not given to the policy holder, because the subrogation gives the right to the right of abandonment to the insurance company. Suppose in certain times what happens, in certain kinds of ships which are having any antique kind of a pieces inside and all that, if the ship price goes beyond the compensation value, suppose for example if the ship is financed, that is compensation paid to the 10 crores, and the insurance company will take over the ship, and if the ship is resold in the market as an antique piece for 15 crore rupees, the insurance company is gaining 5 crore rupees. Should it repay it to the owners or retain? But in this subrogation, all that property value belongs to the insurance company, need not require to pay any additional profit earned out of selling the reselling the colluded part to the owners. They can retain their own. This is called as a right of abandonment, right of abandonment of the insurance company. So the fourth insurance principle of proximate cause. Proximate means nearest cause. Nearest cause. In case of loss happened to the cargo owners or the ship owners, the proximate cause is taken into consideration by the insurance company for compensation. It helps in deciding the actual loss of when a number of causes have contributed to the loss. When in the ship perils, there are a number of causes happening to the ship. Collusion may happen, and financial loss may happen due to late reaching of the goods in the market, or and transportation, if it is not damaged goods are reaching to the end of the destination. There are various kinds of causes of the loss happening to the cargo owners or to the ship owners. But while calculating the loss, the first proximate cause will be taken into consideration for calculation of the loss. The immediate cause of the loss should be determined to fix the responsibility of the insurer. The remote cause of the loss is not important in determining. Remote cause is not important. Nearest cause is important. If the proximate cause is insured against, the insurer will indemnify the loss. Even if the proximate cause can also be covered in certain types of policies, but if it is not covered, then the proximate nearest cause is taken into consideration. For example, the ship collides due to storm destroying the goods, and insured destroying the goods, and insured is losing the profit also. Sea peril is a proximate cause. Payable loss of the market is not a proximate cause, it is a remote cause. If a general insurance policy is taken on the cargo of the ship, And on the cargo, then if the cargo gets damaged due to transportation, the proximate cause is the collusion. Then the loss happened to the goods due to the collusion will be taken into consideration. Cost price of the goods are included, not the remote clause like a market loss and all that. But if the remote cause clause is also included, then the proximate clause will also include the that remote clauses also. But if it is not discussed, then proximate cause only is taken into consideration for deciding the premium. Now there's the principle of contribution. As you know that if the insurance policy is taken from on the ship or on the cargo by two different insurance companies, then the contribution will be made by both the insurance companies to compensate the loss. But the loss amount which is decided will be only much that much will be paid together by the two different insurance companies to the policyholders. For example, if the B gets his goods insured for rupees 15,000 with insurer P and rupees 15,000 with insurer Q, he has taken the policy on from two different insurance companies where the loss to be contributed is 15,000 and total loss happened occurs 15,000. P is liable to pay for rupees 75,000 and Q is liable to pay for rupees 75,000. Both together have to compensate the loss of 15 lakhs. 15 lakhs. If the whole amount of the loss is paid by Q, then Q can recover that amount of 7,500 from the P. So this is what principle of contribution. So thank you friends for your patience listening. And in the next chapter, we will discuss on the other part of the insurance, marine insurance things. Okay, I thank all the students for their